Coming full circle comes at a time when many are considering trying psychedelics as a means to healing their trauma. This book gives an unflinching, realistic look at what treatment-resistant trauma can look like and takes the reader on a journey of healing with a raw, painfully honest delivery. It's a powerful tale of healing emotional wounds and trauma with the help of psychedelics. So I'm going to bring Shannon on here, and we are going to ask some rapid fast questions for all of you out there wondering, is psychedelics my next step in healing? And if so, how do I go about that? Hello, Shannon. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My first question when I was reading over your book, Coming Full Circle, Healing Trauma Using Psychedelics, was, are there other modalities that you tried before you found your way to psychedelics?
Sure, yeah. I've worked quite a few years with traditional talk therapy and body-centered therapy. I've tried hypnotherapy, meditation and mindfulness, working with psychedelics on my own as tools for healing, and all of these have had huge benefits in my life. But there were core wounds that I was still trying to operate around in my life that were really holding me up and causing a lot of problems. And it was when I came to professionally guided psychedelic therapeutic sessions that I finally started having access to those places to allow them to express and to heal.
Did you feel like it really took you out of the emotional experience and gave you an eagle eye view on the trauma that you had experienced?
At times, that's called an insight, and insights are very common in psychedelic experiences of all kinds, when you see yourself or your life from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. But trauma healing work around or with psychedelics is something kind of different. It's what I call medicine work, and it's where you go deep in and you directly experience those emotions that felt, or those emotions or those memories that felt too intense to feel before, right? It's fear that keeps them locked away inside. And so it gives you direct access, a direct confrontation with those, but in a safe and supported way. Sometimes it's challenging, and other times it's just beautiful and peaceful. But it's an opportunity to get past your own internal defenses to allow those places an opportunity to finally heal.
So you said that you definitely did it with medical professionals. Were there any time before you had done it with medical professionals that you just did it like recreationally? Someone was just like, hey, go try psilocybin.
Sure, yeah. I had in my past, done mushrooms at music festivals or when camping or LSD, and I would hang out with some friends and we'd have deep thoughts and these interesting conversations, or MDMA, which is ecstasy, to connect and bond with friends. Sure, I had done, but I really found that I loved the introspective quality, the way I could see myself and my life from a different perspective that I could take back with me into my everyday life that helped profound shifts and changes to happen. I feel like I've had immense personal growth from those kinds of experiences, but even those never gave me access, and to be honest, thankfully, to the deep traumas that were needing to heal. And once I was doing it with a professional, it changed the quality, and it made it safe for me to go in and get access to those otherwise kind of terrifying places.
I love that you bring up the fact that you did it in a safe environment with the same people, proper dosage. You had someone obviously watching you the whole time and helping you through your experience. What is the integration like after you get through that type of therapy session?
Sure. Yeah, you can churn up a lot in a psychedelic therapy session, and so in the days and weeks afterwards, you can have upswellings of anxiety. You can have sadness. You can have more memory or more feeling coming up, and so it's important to have a therapist to work with through that time. It's called the integration period. I've had integration periods that were peaceful and I just felt so much lighter and freer, and I've had some that were pretty intense, but knowing that this is a part of the process, I could keep it in context, and so it wasn't such a big deal. When you have nameless, faceless anxiety, that's when it gets scary because you don't know what's wrong. But knowing that that can be churned up, you just weather it because you know it's a part of the healing process.
Very true. Great answer. Thank you so much. So you also still combine like talk therapy with the psychedelic routine that you do as well?
Yeah, so I have somebody that I work with, and we talk things out leading up to a session so that I'm clear on what I'm working with. It's called setting your intentions, and so you want to connect with where you feel those traumas in your body, and you kind of let those parts speak about, you know, what it is that needs to happen. And so you go into the experience mentally prepared and focused on what it is you're trying to have happen. The experience almost always follows those intentions with incredible precision. Mm-hmm. And then I have somebody that I work with afterwards to talk out what needs to be talked about, to help keep things in context, to keep the process of the emotional healing happen. It doesn't all happen just on the psychedelics. The psychedelics start the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that you said that. One of the other questions I had for you is, obviously through your recreational experience with psychedelics and then moving on to the medicinal side of it, what misinformation do you think is being spread through kind of the propaganda against healing psychedelics? Have you seen anything in the community pop up?
The old war on drugs and Just Say No campaigns had a lot of propaganda in them about all drugs, all medicines. And so things like psychedelics got lumped into the same pile as like cocaine or heroin. Mm-hmm. And that was a travesty. It was deeply misinformed. And so, I got one book review somewhere, and this person had that strongly in their brain, and so they couldn't see anything else when they were going through a very unfavorable review. But every other review I've gotten has been 5 stars, and people love it when they approach it with more open mind. So there's a deep part of that propaganda, and especially in Americans, that can be difficult to overcome because there's a fear of being judged, or there's a fear of doing something wrong, or that this is in some way seedy or dirty. And really, psychedelics, all they do is give you access to yourself. They help open the different psychedelics, from MDMA to psilocybin mushrooms to ketamine. They all open you up in different ways so you can have access to yourself to heal yourself. And that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing seedy or dirty about it. And I can tell you, after having gone through it so much, it's not a place to hide. People think, oh, you take drugs to hide from your problems. This is not. This is directly confronting your problems, which is why it's so important to have qualified support.
Absolutely. I love that you're able to do it supported. I know there's such a big psychedelic movement anyways, and obviously with that, everybody's so focused on the healing aspect of it that I think they really do forget that you need a safe and supported place to do that. Obviously, through the journey of taking the medicine, do you want to get in a little bit with like how the dosing goes? Is it kind of like a microdose experience where you do a little at a time and journal and integrate it in a little bit at a time?
I've never worked in that way.
Okay.
For me, the emotional woundings that I had a very strong cognitive resistance to going into those scary places, going into those feelings. You get psychological defense mechanisms that try to protect you from feeling feelings again, mm-hmm. that were too overwhelming when you first experienced the traumas. That's why they remain. You have these defense mechanisms of anger or addiction that keep life from triggering those places so you don't have to feel it. And working with the psychedelics, it's finding a safe way to go in and actually feel those feelings. And that's where you begin to do the releasing. That's when you begin to do the healing. And as you heal, those defense mechanisms that cause you so much trouble in your life, like for me, anger was one of them, those start to recede naturally when your body doesn't perceive anymore that you have something that needs to be defended against. That's the true power of using psychedelics to heal, is you're not coming at the symptoms of the problem, but actually healing the source of your problems. And then those symptoms start to recede all on their own.
Do you ever look back and wonder, had you not chosen the modality of psychedelics to heal, do you ever wonder like who you'd be today or how far along you would still be on unwinding that trauma?
I have thought about it, and I've thought about it, and I don't like to think about it because I was in a really dark place at the point where I came to this kind of healing. And my very first guided experience let me have such a powerful catharsis, a powerful release, that I knew that this could help me. It's not going to be for everyone. That's why I wrote the book, Coming Full Circle, is I wanted people to come to it with their eyes open, understanding what this really is, understanding the misinformation that's out there about it, understanding how to identify what qualified guidance really looks like, so that they could have the best chance, if they decide that it's right for them, of getting true, deep healing results.
Moving forward with psychedelics getting outside of the music culture, I guess you could say, do you think it's just going to continue to be amplified and go mainstream over time, where one day it'll just be a thing where either people are microdosing or this is like a new fixated point of therapy for people?
Yeah, I think it depends on shifts in politics and how much, because unfortunately the old war on drugs and some religious mindsets have gotten intertwined, unfortunately. And so it depends on the political landscape as it shifts and changes. And it also depends on what happens, because even in the existing legal channels that are being developed, there are some deep misconceptions of how healing with psychedelics works. And that's showing up in those legal channels. So some people are going to try to heal deep treatment-resistant trauma and not getting the help that they need. And so I do talk about this in the book, and I'm hoping as it gets more and more mainstream that the people who actually know how this works, the therapists that have done their own deep work in this way, can have a voice at the table in shaping what this looks like, what's made available for people out in the market, because real help is available when it's properly held and approached.
So for anyone listening out there, beginner-wise, who's kind of went down the same road as you, as I've done all these different modalities, I've done this medication, yada, 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 and they've been considering psychedelics, what would be your beginner safe advice for them moving forward if they chose to go down that road?
It is for them primarily that I wrote Coming Full Circle, because I wanted them to understand. I want them to understand there's just so much misinformation, especially in the media, that this is some kind of a magic bullet, some kind of a miracle cure. And I do believe that psychedelics can help the miraculous to happen when compared to traditional therapy modalities. But you have to understand how it really works and the mindset that you have to take into it, and how to get real support for it. And that was really the whole intention of the book, is to take somebody on a journey so that they can come out the other side of it well informed on how to start moving forward if that's what they want to do. And somebody might read the book and realize that, boy, that's not for me, but I'm glad I understand it and I'll go in a different direction.
Powerful stuff. Well, I look forward to reading the book, and I sure do wish that I had more time to pull apart your experiences with you, because it sounds truly amazing. So I want to thank you for joining me for the time that we had. And for anybody listening, please go check out Shannon Duncan on Facebook and check out his book, Coming Full Circle, Healing Trauma Using Psychedelics. Thank you so much, Shannon. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So my friends, if you are interested in getting into psychedelics, before getting into psychedelics, I highly recommend you read this book and reach out to professionals and help. We have plenty vantage points of people using psychedelics to heal the root issues of their trauma, and we definitely plan on bringing more to you. So enjoy Shannon. Please check out his links below. And before we get out of here, Vitality Exposed is bringing us a clip from Secrets by Neovi off his new album, Dusk.
do.